Hey everybody, welcome back. How's it going, Josh?
Oh, fantastic, man. I've had probably 4 cups of coffee, so I'm great.
4 cups of
I'm
coffee.
great. I'm feeling good.
Yeah,
I'm
dude.
working on it.
Yeah. Hey, yeah, you gotta stay ahead of your wife. She's been pretty consistent with her workouts.
Well, I mean, that's good. She's amazing. I mean,
Yeah.
she's my inspiration.
Yeah, don't leave. I know she was giving you a hard time last week, I think it was.
Oh, that's
But you were
shocking.
banged up. You were banged up from training in
It
Minnesota.
was, there's just some after effects I'm feeling, but it's getting better, which is nice. But there's a
After
few pieces
effects.
on me. It's like, oh, right. And that's just sometimes you just got to train with a partner who's not going 100% all the time.
Really?
Yes.
Didn't we
If you
talk
didn't
about this?
know, we did. And it's, give your partner something to work with, something they can actually touch and see instead of going, you
Yeah,
know.
I mean, I was just talking this week about dealing with that training partner. So he's like, man, I like that guy, but he just again is going so hard and 100%. Said, maybe something you'll want to consider is just saying, hey, I really like you, but you can just go hard. I don't want to I don't want to partner up with you. It works
Yeah.
really well with the kids.
Yeah.
When their training partner doesn't want to train with them, whether you're
Yeah.
fooling around or not paying attention, you don't know what we're doing. Kids will come up to me like, Coach John, nobody wants to train with me. Why is that?
Yeah.
You're fooling around, and the other kids want to train. They want to get their next belts. You're just goofing off. Do you
Yeah.
want to get your next belt? Do you want to be safer against the bully? More importantly,
Mhm.
we have plenty of fun in kids Krav Maga,
We do.
but now is not the time.
No.
Now we're
No.
doing technique. This
Yeah.
is, and your partner doesn't want to be fooling around. They don't want to get in trouble. They don't want to sit out of the next game because they were fooling around. It's like, try that with that guy.
Yeah.
Hey man, I think you're a really nice guy, but you just training with you, you're just killing me.
Yeah.
You're beating me up. I'm trying to go slow and learn.
Yeah.
And you're just muscling everything. You're just going so hard and getting so excited. Maybe that will key them up to going,
Yeah.
what am I
What can I
doing
do?
here?
Okay. What can I do to be different? How do I train differently? And then you put together a training hierarchy that kind of helps with students,
Yeah.
like delve into that for me, because I always
So
love learning this stuff.
yeah, I mean, I always look at your base. We talked about it last time, was fitness. Wear that bigger guy down if you can. Be as strong as you can, so you have better odds of surviving. You know, um, that's a huge base. Then we have our Krav Maga program, our Citizen Defender program incorporates a lot. We incorporate a lot of that into our regular Krav Maga program. But if you're grappling with a knife, on you, if you're concealed carry holder and you have that firearm, it's different. And if you lose that sucker, oh my gosh,
Mhm.
not only you are in danger, but everybody around you. Now this person is armed, and now your
Yeah.
family is in danger because you lost your firearm. It's not just, rolling on the ground, BJJ tournaments, Krav Maga, we get locked into ground and pound and fighting on the ground. But when you have a weapon, that's a different fight. Our Peaceful Warrior Project is our advanced program, and our Apex is, the tip of the spear. That's where we kind of get our instructors into, and we have that monthly training at RMSDF that we're working for, quite a few hours, depending on the day. So we break things down into probability of what's going to happen to you. High probability stuff. Sometimes people get locked into fancy,
Mhm.
and cool, but what are the odds of that person attack? That happening to you out on the street
Yeah.
is a big one. So
Yeah, it is. Train for what's real, right? Everything is based on reality, is really what we want to try to focus on. And
yeah, so 30% of our time, thinking you got ambushed, somebody choked you, um, from the, front ground, you're getting choked up against the wall. Somebody bear hugged you, of those things, somebody comes at you with a knife or gun, threatening you for property or whatever it may be, and practicing escaping, and avoiding that situation awareness and getting away from it sooner is a huge thing.
Yeah. Yeah. And I love that you're training, you're saying that you're training for real life, not some competition. I mean, you're trying to get the heck out of a violent situation and escape, get out, go home, safe.
Break range.
Woo.
A fault, I think, sometimes with Krav Maga is trying to take the weapon away, and people get locked into that going, but they have a gun, gun's a different thing, as we know, a lot of people can't hit the freaking broadside of a barn. So the more distance you get a good second, and you can cover some distance, get behind a car, your odds might be better. And I'm not saying that's the answer. Sometimes staying on that person and continuing that fight. But if you can break range, you got distance and you got time, key elements to winning a fight. And people sometimes have a hard time of knowing when to break range, but you got to practice it. And like everything else, you have to fail at it and figure it out.
Right.
There's no set answer on when do I break range. People love direct answers. Yeah. Punch them 5 times.
Yeah. The thing is,
it might be 50.
Most of the questions about what you should do get answered when you just put yourself in the contextual situation and train it. I mean, you can't ask questions of stuff you don't know is going to happen, which is kind of weird, and that's a hard one to wrap your mind around. So remember, the question usually gets answered in the training.
Yeah. And then, we're spending 25% of our training time on combatives, striking, moving, working those angles, when we talk about it all the time, that timing of the front kick, of the punch, everything is just so huge in that fight. You've got to train it. You want to be able to put a weapon on somebody, you got to spend time on it.
Yeah. I mean, you got to learn how to use it. You got to learn how to use your hands, right? That's another weapon you've got. Your hands are a distance weapon. Even like putting all this stuff in my head, telling me all the time, when you got to use those strikes, do it. Make sure you know how to do them. Work it. My footwork, you're always telling me on that one. Where are your feet? Where are you ending up? That's why you got to work them.
Yeah. I mean, footwork, head movement, be harder to hit, you got to be moving, that sitting duck, so to speak, is way easier to shoot than the flying one. So it's a tough thing. You got to work it. And, these are all like really tough, because like, the other day, somebody said, forget what night it was, doesn't really matter. Like they were in the corner on the padded wall and stay out of it. Oh man, that's terrible being in that corner. And I'm like, well, what if you're in an elevator? Now you're in a corner. Like you got to work it. You know, saying like, don't get the corner spot on the wall. It's terrible. Like, no, get the corner spot. That's a great spot. Like you got to train it. What if, if I knew I was going to get attacked in an elevator, I would be in that corner every day of the week,
but keep it in front of me. Keep it in front of me. You know what I mean? That's what I try to think is, how do I keep it all in front of me? And if I've got the corner, there's at least nobody behind me. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it does have it has its advantages, in there, but you get locked, especially on the ground. Once you're on the ground, it's even worse than standing up in that corner. It's a tough place to escape, and you got to work it, working your ground fighting skills. It's, ginormous amount of stuff just on the ground alone to be working on, and, working your escapes. I mean, that's a really big thing for us, working your controls, working, takedown defenses. That's really tough to be working, and, you can't ignore it. And, you're just trying to get out of there, right? If you're on the ground, like just getting up isn't that easy, right? Well, just stand up and get out. Well, you might need some skill from the guard. Let's say you need a full arsenal there just to try to get up from the guard. Never mind somebody in top mount, side control, whatever it may be, is really tough. Got to train it, and that's how we're trying to divide up our training time here, and then we've got 10%, fitness and strength. That's a tough one. Sometimes people don't prioritize their health and fitness, and it's going to keep you safer on the street. It will.
Feel good for doing it. I feel a little banged up right now, but I like having a regular exercise routine to go into the crop, because it helps the heart rate. It helps with keeping fresh. I notice the one thing is when I get fatigued, my performance really declines. And the longer it takes to get to fatigue, the better for you in a fight. Because that's when everybody's skills start to break down, is when they're gassed, right? And they start getting
any
sloppy.
Athlete, your skill level goes down when you're tired. And if your skill level's not that good, it's going to like nothing. Sometimes when you're tired and exhausted and your muscles are burning and everything else,
you're just sucking wind.
It's so hard. It's hard to stay in just a workout. I just try to remind myself, okay, I'm giving myself a break here. Nobody on the street's giving me a break right now. And trying to get back on it sooner, get back on those dumbbells, whatever it may be. Stop resting. It's tough just to fight through a fitness workout. Is tough. And that's, been a thing that when we have tough workouts on the self-defense side, that, I want to work skill. Well, yeah, but man, sometimes you have to just stay in that fight, and that's it. And it's going to be your self-defense. Your fitness that's keeping you in that fight, keeping that, keeping some gas in the engine to go.
Being able to recover in times where you can rest is worth its weight in gold, because usually most people are so untrained, they're going to go 100% until there's nothing. Right now, you know how to pace yourself. Now you know how to breathe. Now you know how to recover when it's time to recover. That's why it all blends together so well. Right? It's all integrated with us.
Yeah, being able to breathe. Yeah, knowing when to rest, finding a place to rest, and knowing when you need to fight and when you can kind of rest. I hate to use that word in self-defense, but especially in ground fighting, knowing when to find a place to rest with somebody on top of you. It's freaking hard to know when you can take a little break or not gas yourself out. We were talking the other day about if trap and roll's not working, stop gassing yourself out. You're trying for this technique. You're trying for that. I'm like, geez, it doesn't work the first time. Like maybe reverse directions, because their balance was shifted, and you can quickly try to buck and roll them in the opposite direction. But, after that, so they know what you're doing. They're positioning. You're killing yourself, but we'll see. That's all I know, so I'm going to keep trying.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. That's all you got. I mean, that's all you got, but you might need to rest in between, let that fight develop so that position is there and you have the right context for, a trap and roll. Tough things.
I don't think I want to cover rest. Like recovery is probably a better word, because you're just trying to recover a little bit.
Yeah. Rest. Yeah. Recovery. You're just trying to, it might be a second, it might be 10 seconds. If you can just find that recovery zone is huge. And being able to breathe, people gas themselves out because they can't breathe all the time.
Or they hold their breath. I noticed that there's some people that are really new. They don't have a fight breath. You still tell me to work on it, right? But just being able to keep breathing as the techniques are happening. I watch people do it all the time. They'll hold their breath as they start doing something. And it's the hardest thing to learn. Just breathe. Just breathe.
Yeah. Good book, by the way. Breath.
Just breathe. Breath.
That's a good book. Yeah. The book, Breath. We talked about it a while back. I actually just met somebody at a business thing for my wife that they were, the icebreakers was like, what book do you like, or something to that effect. And a woman said breath. I'm like, oh, yeah, that's a great book. I was talking to her after. I think every human should read it. It's a great one. And if you're breathing, you might learn a little bit more about it. And especially as a combat athlete, you need to breathe or you're running out of gas. Some people will pant. They can't regulate their breathing. And, it's just as bad as holding your breath. So tough things, and that fitness can kind of help you find it.
Yeah.
Because it's really hard to find when somebody's on top of you, right?
Sure
and you're
is.
trying to work a technique, let alone now your fitness is affecting you. So you can do it in a workout and push yourself through those things. I try to do that all the time. I hate running, and a lot of times when I'm running, I'm just like, I'm trying to get to my family. I'm trying to get to my family, right? And that helps push you a little bit. You can work a lot of fight mindset into your fitness. So, and
in my head, I'm thinking, run away from John, run away from John, run away from John. It's been working.
John. So 10% of our training time, and we're talking in class. I mean, obviously you can train this, throughout the day. It's your just mindset, your awareness and your legal understanding of when to use self-defense and your rights to defend yourself.
Yeah.
We got to work that de-escalation and pre-fight cues. People miss pre-fight cues all of the time. And they're in a class, people.
Guilty.
Like, people think it's easy. You're in a class and you're expecting these things, and you'll miss a pre-fight indicator. So it's you got to train it, and just like we're just talking about, we like to do, stress drills, really help your mindset, being in that position. But your tactical breathing, that's huge. You can work it in your fitness. We've got situational awareness and use of force, post-incident response mindset, legal and mental, are all things that, you can think of those like outside of class all of the time, like running those, but just what to do right after you were attacked. We do it all the time with, our kids. Get away. Sometimes I think our kids, especially our elementary school kids, our preschool, kindergarten kids are better at it than our adults. For whatever reason, it just clicks with little kids. Like, get away, stop attacking me. That guy attacked me. I need help. Our kids are better at it than our adults. It could be, I don't know what. Ego comes to mind. Like, I don't need help. I'm fine. I can defend everybody. But just letting everybody know around you, I need help. This guy attacked me. This guy attacked me. Get him away. Sometimes the first person to speak up, it's like the kid that tattles on their, older brother or sister, or younger sister. Parents are like, oh, what did they do? Well, you're coming to me and telling me this, so you must be the good guy. When maybe not. But people immediately assume that. So we're always, working those things. What's the last one on that slide? Mindset wins. Yeah. I mean, your mindset, that's something that early on in Krav Maga, I think it was my instructor, Sam, said, hey, if my arm gets blown off in combat, I'm going to pick you up and beat you with it.
Yeah.
I'll use any tool, including my arm that was blown off, to win this fight. Your mindset, it's so huge going, I'm not going to lose. I'm not going to lose. I'm not going to lose. Yeah. In the back. Yeah. There's a probability you are, but if you're like, well, I'm going to lose, you just told yourself you're going to lose. It's a huge thing, and this kind of rest of this slide kind of just goes through what we talked about last week, self-defense techniques, your combatives, all of those things that we need to be training, and just lays them out just a little bit more in this slide of what you need to be doing.
Yeah.
So I'll just skip to the last one. I'm looking at my computer because my eyes are better on my bigger screen above this one, that little pyramid. And guys, they're fluid. And sometimes, like I said last week, hey, maybe I'm just really working on my striking.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's so hard. I want to work it all, right? I want to work it all, stay well-rounded. But, I see a lot of people, not take it to the next level. And that's spending hours and hours and hours striking. If you want to be that, black belt, what's the word I want to say? But, you want to be the expert. You want to have people like, whoa, they're good at striking. Yeah. Spend 10,000 hours striking on a heavy bag. As you start to do the math on, 5 years of training, and how much of that training, even if we use this, like 25% of that time was spent striking in a class.
Mm-hmm.
Open AI, and it'll figure it out for you. We're not going to do it on the podcast, but
still be a lot of time on a bag. It'd be a lot of time on a bag. You probably need more.
Well, if you think of the time you spent in a class, how long it would take you to get to 10,000 hours, maybe you're shadowboxing at home, whatever it may be. We're always getting deals for people on heavy bags. Our students want to get a heavy bag. We're not trying to make any money on that heavy bag. We're like, hey, sure, train at home, hit that bag more, everything. So, and you can do online training, ClearSky.Training. I've been telling some of the beginners, I'm like, hey, one of the black belts came up to me and said, hey, I made this point in class, and another black belt came up to me and was like, that was a really good point. I didn't know that one. And, he's humble enough to go, yeah, it was on the ClearSky.Training portal. It's in John's video on this technique, and this black belt hadn't caught that, and sometimes when you're, watching a video, you see something different than you did in class because you're, distracted, or it was a long day that day. And you miss that little thing. I mean, I see it all the time, and it just takes reps. It's like the whole, well, somebody told it to me one time. It's going to take more than that to learn a physical skill that you were just, told to do it one time. There's a good chance you missed something on that technique. So, get onto that. If you're not in the Castle Rock area, you can train from there. And even I haven't opened it up really because there's always so much to do, as you know, and everybody's like, there's not enough time in the day sometimes of doing like online consults with people. Hey, you want us to help you train? Sure. Like, let's get on a live thing like this, and I can, watch your technique and help you if you're not in my area. Always willing to help other instructors and other school owners. And share my 25 years of owning a gym and running a gym and putting it together. And, sometimes getting more personal attention than, hey, I went to a training course. Okay, great. But how about somebody mentoring you along the way on that? Because as we know, we train something, and there's a little thing that we all need to try to improve on. Just because we went to a training course doesn't mean we're great at a technique. You need to go home and train it, and having people to help you. And not everybody has a higher level person right there at their gym, and they're trying to get better. So I'm always willing to help other gym owners out there, whatever it is, because, martial arts are really martial arts. Of course, we focus on the niche of self-defense. We're not a competition school because I don't think that fits with a self-defense and fighting mindset. It can overlap there or affect you. You start doing competition stuff. I told people recently, I didn't throw a punch one time way back in Taekwondo because I trained with a boxer, was one of my training partners, and I'd lost points and lost the tournament for whatever belt I was at, and it's like, okay, I'm not getting kicked out. I'm not gonna lose points the next time I go to a tournament. So I didn't throw a punch for 6 months. And what did I do? Like, first fight, I punched some guy in the face. Like, damn it. that side of me just comes out. Like, I don't like training for tournament is just so hard for me. Even back then of playing within the rules, but you start playing within the rules so much, you can get lost in it. I've done it. I've like gotten caught up and could have escaped. We're just, it's just a free roll. It was way back on Nantucket Island. And I went back down on the guy. I went, oh, side control for, and I came down on the guy's elbow and bit half of my tongue off. So FYI, I'm not a doctor, but if you just hold that tongue on the roof of your mouth, it'll heal up just fine. Because the time I got to the ER, the doctor was like, okay, stick out your tongue. And I was like, oh, okay. And he was kind of laughing. It was healed up. He's like, all right, no hot food, for 24 hours. Don't drink anything hot. You'll be okay. And I was like, looking, he's like, here, look. And I'm like, oh, wow, it's freaking healed up. He's like, yeah, your tongue heals really fast. But standing in the mirror at the gym and your tongue's half,
Yeah.
You're
maybe
like,
I should go to the ER for this one.
I was like, yeah.
What did I do?
I'm like, I don't know what's going to happen. What do they do for your tongue? They're like, yeah, hold it. What you did instinctively, kind of just sucking into the roof of your mouth, like it healed up. I mean, I guess if you left it hanging out like a dog, the doctor might have had to, do something, but crazy. So, hey guys, if you're in the Castle Rock area, we've got our shop.rmsdf for all things RMSDF. And we also have shop.clearsky.training. We've got tons of t-shirts, tons of gear on those two stores. And if you are in Douglas County, we've got 1 month free. Come in and check us out. And we'll tell you, we got, you're more than welcome to train, do that whole month, but you're going to get a better promotion if you sign up, in the first couple of weeks of that training. But we're offering that up. Haven't done the 1 month free in a while. So if you want to check out our gym, you got, plenty of classes you can check out. And if you want to get that 20-year deal that we're offering as our 20-year anniversary, we've got crazy pricing that flashes back to 20 years ago. All this crazy inflation stuff. We're just trying to make it easier because I can control this. I can't control my haircut costing $26 I will not even give them a plug because actually the stylist at this, not a high end, not one of these things. I'm like, seriously, a boy's haircut? I'm not going to that place. They're crazy. I'm like,
well, there's probably said I need a boy's haircut, and it turned out you're like a man, so they probably charge you more. Hey, maybe we should do a competition where people get to donate money to shave your head.
My head?
Yeah.
Dude, look at your hair.
No,
way
more.
Realize... My hair is practically shaved. My hair is practically shaved. Yeah, 15 years ago,
a ball
I had it longer.
Yeah.
Yeah, people might have.
I think it's the act of shaving jobs. No. You can't ruin hair this beautiful. You can't, like, this hair has to be shared with the world.
I almost want to end on this hair needs to be shared with the world. Oh, man. How about that girl the other day telling you, did anybody ever tell you have a voice for radio?
I laughed.
I know. I just laughed. I was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Plug the podcast, but
I know. And I didn't.
Did you know Coach Josh used to be in radio?
Right.
Still is. It's not old school radio, but
yeah.
God. And when was the last time? I mean, do kids even listen to FM radio anymore?
I don't know. I tried to ask the other day, what's your favorite band? And nobody had an answer. Except for the newest girl. She's like, yeah, I love Phoenix or something like that. I don't even know what they were. No one could come up with a band they liked. I'm like, what are they listening to then?
I have no idea. TikTok Reels.
Probably. Like, being a kid is so different now.
Yeah, it is. So, well, that's should wrap up this episode. What is next time? Let's take a look. Oh, yeah. I like this one. the 5 elements of self-defense law, and we might group it in with legal degrees of assault. We'll see how that goes and how off track Josh and I get with stories and whatever. If you made it this far, I really appreciate it. Share the podcast with a friend. We're trying to move this up. I'm trying to suck less and try to get better at these things, but it's really just a little side project. If it gets bigger, great. We do these for our students. Is the main reason Josh convinced me to start this podcast was, getting the message out. There's, you miss classes, and, it's going to be on our Clear Sky portal. I mean, it's on YouTube and everything else. You can get this whole series of, our Clear Sky training, self-defense and fighting system that I've put together. That's, a culmination of everything I've done over the last 25, 30 years. I don't know. It's getting silver sneakers ish, but I'm not really there. Somebody was just saying, I could be in the silver sneaker class. And somebody was like, how old are you? And they're like, well, I'm not quite old enough. And I'm like, well, you can't say you are if you're not, but always something to train on, guys. Always something to get better. We're trying to be better at this and a gazillion other things for self-defense. So share it with a friend. It really does help out. Share the gym. We've got our free teen program. Share it. Share it.
Share this hair with the world.
The summer's going to be half over, here soon. So, all right, guys, you have a good one.